Today I'm going to be doing a book review, and this book has been much loved on in the booktube community, and so I'm kind of like holding my hands up over my head to protect myself from the rocks that might be thrown, because I did not love this book at all, and I feel like I might be the only one. Let us begin with what the book is, and that is The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hopkins. And this book is about a high schooler named Mara Dyer, and she moves to another state completely to escape the fallout from the freak accident that happened to her and her friends, wherein her friends die. And when she gets there, she starts having hallucinations and seeing people that she shouldn't be seeing, and there's this mysterious guy in all of this, a mix who seems to know her. Doesn't that sound kind of familiar to y'all? So let's talk about the one thing that I actually liked about this book, and that is the writing. I really liked the writing. Basically, I found the writing superb, and I would have really enjoyed her writing, but there was one little flaw, and actually this is a major thing when it came to her writing that I actually found quite annoying. I would have loved her writing all the more if she hadn't done this thing, because this thing kept pulling me out of the reading, and that would be the repetitive descriptive word she kept using. And there was some descriptiveness that she would use over and over and over again, and it just kept pulling me out, because it's something that I learned that you're not supposed to do. And why do you feel like you have to repeat the same word over again, or the same type of sentence? Like, why does it always have to be repeated? Don't repeat yourself, because that's a little bit annoying, and actually it was very annoying in this book, because it took away from my reading experience. But, if that was the only thing, I would have loved this book. But then we get to the story, and there's this whole mystery about the hallucinations, and why is she having these hallucinations, why is she seeing this specific person that she shouldn't be seeing. Is this person real or not? Are these hallucinations real, or are they actually hallucinations? And I loved the idea of that mystery, and I was like ready to get down and have these questions answered by the time we get done with the book, and that this was going to be the major story, and I was going to be so thrilled because there's going to be a YA book where the main story is actually the main story and doesn't get thrown out to the wayside by the romance. And then Noah showed up. I liked Mara Dyer until Noah showed up. And that was basically like 5 chapters in. So, here's the issue with Mara Dyer. I liked Mara Dyer. She seemed like a very realistic character overall. With what she was dealing with, I felt that that was kind of the way a person might actually act in that situation. And I felt like what she was dealing with and how she reacted was very realistic. But then she gets to know Noah, and there's just things about her that really peeved me off. Like, how could she dismiss something that was that he did so horribly and be like, "Oh, I love ya, I can't get enough of ya," and just totally throw that out of the window. Like, that's not really a big deal, and that might not actually affect how he treats you. And even though he actually treated her nicely, Noah as a person is basically an asshole. Okay, he's a horrible, horrible person. Even though he seemed pretty nice when it came to her. Everybody else, he was pretty much an asshole. And he was actually pretty much of an asshole to her at the beginning. And I just couldn't get past that specific big thing that I thought she shouldn't have gotten past. And so those are the 2 characters that I have issues with. The one character that I had like basically no issues with was Jamie. And here's another major big issue I had with Michelle Hopkins when it came to writing this book, was that Jamie was looked like he was supposed to be the best friend type. Like, he was meant to be the best friend and all that. And at the very beginning, when they're like, when he and her meet, you have that sensing, you get that, and he's a major character in the story. And then Noah shows up all macho and everything like that, and then he kind of starts falling to the wayside really fast, like right out of the blue. And I'm just like, why? What was going on? And then he's like completely out of the story, and by that time, when he like actually leaves, I was getting the sense of a love triangle going on, and I was starting to get scared. But then he left, and I was disappointed, but I was happy because I hate love triangles, and I would have thrown the book down completely if there was a love triangle and had to deal with that crap. I mean, I'm dealing with enough crap from this book as it is. Okay, so let's talk about the storyline. The main storyline that I believe that should have been there, the mystery and what's happening and the whole guy that shouldn't be there showing up. Where was it? It wasn't there. It was there, but it wasn't there. It went nowhere, basically. Because, why? Because of the romance. What the freaking hell? The freaking romance was completely overdone, and it pushed aside the story that should have been all this book should have been about. And it was just so annoying because not only was there a romance, and I don't mind romances, okay? I love romances when it's done well, when it was insta love. They barely knew each other for 2 weeks, and they're like, oh, I love you, kissy, 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 kissy. And I'm just like throwing up on the side, okay? Because that's just horrible. Not only that, it was a really creepy kind of romance because he acted like he knew her from the very beginning before they even met. So I like the romance in this book, but it was just so horrible to me because insta love, no. The creepy type of thing that was going on between them, no. Yeah, I hated it. It was very formulaic with the whole storyline and the romance and everything. Very formulaic. There's the mystery guy that we see in almost every YA book. You have the romance. The insta-love romance that's almost there in every book. You have the mystery and the main story being put off to the side for the romance. I'm excited about this book. I really was. So I gave this 2 stars. It would have been 1 if it wasn't for the writing. But I gave it 2 to be generous because of that. So everything about this book was pretty much a bust for me. And I'm sorry for all those people who love this book because I'm pretty much offending you, I think, by my opinions. And I don't want to offend anybody, but these are the things that I felt. This is what I came away with when I read this book. It was just not my thing, and this book kind of cemented some of my opinions about YA and why I am pulling away from YA and keeping to the adult section more. And I don't see that a lot in adults. And I know that the adult section is not perfect or anything, but I feel there's a lot more diversity in it than YA. And if you want to hear more of my thoughts about this, I'll put a link to my post that I did about why I'm just going to be borrowing YA books from now on and not buying. So that is it. Like I said, I gave it 2 stars. I had many of issues. If you disagree with me, put it down below why you disagree with me. Let's all be polite about this. If you do agree with me, which I'm not expecting, tell me below and your thoughts about it. What are some of your dislikes and all that. So that is it, and I will see you with a to be read for 2014 books that I was supposed to read this year but be moved to the next year. So I will see you then. Ciao.